Hey guys, this is Eric Crowder from Nerdy Geek Talk, the source of all your nerdy geeky needs. Here with day one of National Podcast Month. That's right, it's November 1st, which is National Podcast Month, where I'm going to be releasing a podcast every single day because you haven't had enough of me. If you listen every single day of this month's podcasts, I'm sorry. I question your sanity. But thanks if you are for some reason. But to start it all off, we are going to be doing a new show. What? It's just me, but a new show, and it's not going to be as long, called Why Eric Why, and as the title implies, kind of asking me why about certain things. There's several. Um, I'm going to be going through several different ones, and I'll mention them at the end, what you can expect to come up. But the first one, this one, is why do I even like Transformers? So let's start off. Why do I even like Transformers? I don't know. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Just kidding. Okay. So, for real, why do I like Transformers? Now, an interesting thing that you may know, if you're watching this, the chances are you see me on Radio Free Cybertron, that is why you watch this, which I don't mind. I don't mind the traffic coming from there. I know that that's how people mostly, that's what people know me from. They don't know me from my own stuff, which I'm fine with, as I get that. Um, you probably don't know that uh, I only started getting heavily involved in the fandom. I only started getting involved with the fandom, like talking to people. Um, like around BotCon 2016. So only about it's just over a year. It's not even 2 years yet in terms of me actually communicating with lots of the fandom. Uh, so in terms of that, that's not how long I've liked Transformers. I did like Transformers before that, but in terms of me actually I was getting pretty into collecting and stuff like that, but to talking to anyone within the fandom, didn't. That's what I made my Twitter was like at BotCon 2016, which has grown. Um, but when did I start liking Transformers? My earliest memories of Transformers are as a kid. I remember several of the shows. Like animated is the one that's predominantly in the back of my head. I don't remember sitting down and watching a lot of it, like sitting down and watching like a new episode, but I do remember bits and pieces, also like just some of the toys, seeing advertisements and stuff like that. So that's, some nostalgic stuff in my head, but in terms of like actually remembering sitting down and intentionally watching Transformers, I wasn't then. But I remember when the first Transformers movie came out, I was very excited. I wanted to see it, and I didn't see it right when it came out, but I did see it afterwards, and I got to see Transformers 2 later. I don't know if I saw Transformers 2 in theaters or not. I remember seeing advertisements for Transformers 2 in the theater, like before it came out. So I probably did go and see that one when it came out. I remember that this is how little I was involved with the fandom and keeping up and stuff. When Transformers 3 came out, I was surprised. I saw the trailer on TV saying that it was coming out in like a week. And that was when I saw it was like a week before the movie came out. And I was like, what? There's another one? I was excited. I went and saw it because I was like, whoa, there's the, like, I didn't know who Shockwave was at the time. I was like, that one's cool. So I went and saw it. After Dark of the Moon is when I started getting a bit crazy and I started getting into things. I watched the Rage of Nation a lot because I didn't know about Transformers 4 was happening, so I was watching stuff about the lead up to that. I haven't watched him in a long time. Um, but that's when I started exploring other Transformers stuff. And as a really young kid, I had some toys bought for me, mainly a couple animated. I have, actually right here, this is my first Transformer. It is a Beast Wars McDonald's toy. It's the Beetle. Uh, this is my first one. I had a KO, not a KO. It was an off-brand Transformers. I mean, I guess maybe a KO, but it wasn't like a literal knockoff of one of the molds. It's like a black lizard Transformer. But don't ask me what it is because I don't remember and I do not have it. But I had been bought a few figures, including I had an Acid Storm actually from the classic Seeker mold. But I started getting into Transformers, like collecting, like actually collecting, when the Generations figures started coming out with comic books. That's what got me into it because, which might sound stupid, but I was just like, huh, you buy the toy and you get a comic book. I was like, sure, like I'll do that. Like I get two things. Like I'm just buying like when I would just buy one because I'd primarily just bought Star Wars figures before that, like the 4-inch ones, and I'd like those, and I would get Transformers occasionally, but didn't really care about them that much. That's when I started, and I had bought some movie figures, so I didn't have nothing. But Generations, that's when I started getting involved with other parts of Transformers, and I bought like that Stealth Bomber Megatron, which is kind of why I'm considering a third party one because it's uh, an important figure in terms of me joining into the Transformers fandom. Why I started liking Transformers, like all of Transformers, was kind of because of that. That's what got me into starting to like. That's not G1 Megatron, but a more classic design than movie stuff. Is like that's one of the figures. Also the Orion Pax, I like those. That still have both of those. But after that, I started collecting pretty regularly. I began looking up like what was coming out. That's when I started realizing that I could figure out what figures were coming out before they came out. And I was also very confused by what the heck third party was. Um, and I may do an episode on third party now that I'm thinking about it, but that's not on the schedule for Why Eric Why yet. This may continue past this month. It depends on how much people like it. But yeah, I started buying more Generations figures, and once Combiner Wars started, just before Combiner Wars, when I started watching Radio Free Cybertron, I had no idea what the heck a podcast was. I was looking up Transformer stuff on YouTube. I wanted to see figures, new figures like from conventions and stuff. I wanted to see people's like video footage of the display booths. And I happened to come across Radio Free Cybertron somehow. I was like, what the heck is this? And I was like, this video is so long. Why is it so long? And I watched it, and I was like, that was really long. This fun fact, that was my first impression of Radio Free Cybertron was that was long, but I kind of liked it. And I was like, they were talking about a lot of stuff I didn't know. So I started watching as they go on. I'd watch more episodes, and third party was something that really confused me, and it was something that I kind of just ignored for a while. So that was not. I only focused on official Transformer stuff for a while, till about when I started getting on social media, and that once I started getting on social media like Twitter, that is when I started to actually understand what third party was. I'm pretty familiar with third party now in terms of different companies and stuff. Back then, I wasn't quite sure what the heck it was, and I did not know the difference between the companies. Um, but why? So I've gone into kind of the story of how I started like Transformers. Why? I love. It's the opposite of why I like Star Wars. I love that there's a billion different versions of every single character. I also love the fact that there's way too much to learn. I can't ever learn everything about it. And there's so much, there's so many people that know so much more than me, and it makes me want to learn more. And it's just exciting. Like Transformers are cool. They're robots. They turn into things. They're cool. They're also sentient. That's one thing that I like more than any other robot things. That they're not just mechs. They are actual sentient robots, which is just it's weird, but it's cool. And the characters, I love how many different characters there are. Like in terms of like I don't mean how many different Optimus Primes there are, but how many different characters. Like you have the Beast Wars characters, which are totally different. The G1 characters, but I also love how many different versions of themselves there are. Like there's a billion different Optimus Primes. Like have you ever thought about what would happen if they all just met? Who'd win if they fought? Would they even fight? I mean, the Shattered Glass one would fight, and movie would fight, but would the rest fight? No, but I just love how many different versions and like it's the opposite of Star Wars because Star Wars there's one concise universe with the canon, and everything fits within there. There's one canon, which is also it's a really neat thing. It's just a total opposite Transformers, whereas there's this giant multiverse, everything, billion different universes with billion different things happening. I also love to. The main other reason I like Transformers, specifically the toys, is I like to figure out the transformations. It has nothing to do. I don't use instructions because I like to figure out the transformation, but I don't. I think another person's like, I don't use instructions. What are you talking about? Instructions are for wusses. No, that is stupid. You're playing with toys, okay? Calm down. But yeah, I just like to figure them out because if you weren't aware, I want to make them. I want to design them. So that's kind of why I'm interested in them. But yeah, like, why do I like Transformers? Basically, I grew up with a bunch of different versions going into it. Um, and then it just kind of exploded from a certain point, and now I'm in pretty deep. I think a lot of you may be surprised how late I got into things, though. I know Jason Kirk got in later than me. He didn't get into it until Combiner Wars, but me, I was only if like a year or two beforehand collecting toys, Transformers toys, like, and knowing what the heck they were. I wasn't just some kid buying toys; like I was actually looking up the characters of everything. But yeah, I like to figure out the toys, like all the different characters. It's just there's a lot I can't explain about why I like Transformers 2. And that's the one topic on all of these why Eric why things I have that I really don't have a solid answer. Like I can give all these different reasons why I do like Transformers, but none of them are the complete reason, nor is that even all of them. Uh, I love the fandom. That is another reason I've stayed. The portion that I talk to, I don't talk to everyone in the fandom. I mean, nobody talks to everyone in the fandom, but I kind of specifically engage with certain people over. I don't ignore anyone. Like I talk to anyone that talks to me, but I specifically only follow certain people because that's just I like my corner of who I'm around. I'm surrounded by good people who have smart things to say and always, and they're not jerks. Except XC. No, I'm kidding. I love XC. But, uh, yeah, that's pretty much it for why I like Transformers. Also the fact that, this is probably what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, so that's factored into it just a little bit. It's crazy to think of how much it has changed my life, though. Uh, I am so heavily involved with it. It is very much part of my identity. When I was younger, I was not keen on sharing the fact that I love Transformers and I was collecting toys. That is all I talk about now to everyone. There isn't a single person in my life that isn't aware of the fact that I am going to school wanting to design that, but also that I have a billion Transformer toys laying around. Well, not laying around. Well, they were laying around. No, they're all in boxes, but they are all very much loved by myself. But yeah, that's basically why I like Transformers. Now, if you are curious, since this is day one of National Podcast Month, also coming up on the Why Eric Why series, which is what this is kicking off National Podcast Month. So, episode one is this: why do I even like Transformers? Two, why do I like podcasts? This one's even more recent than Transformers. Why do I like Generations? Which I kind of went into in this, but this will be more of the toy line, not like how I started collecting Generations. It's more like, what do I like about Generations? But like, why do I even like it? Why don't I love Masterpiece? This will be an interesting one for some people because this might be, I don't want to say controversial, but an unpopular opinion. But I think it'll be understandable once I explain it. Why do I want to design toys? And why don't I watch toy reviews? That's someone that someone asked me. So I will, if you guys have a why question, I mean, if you can turn it into a why, preferable, since it's called Why Eric Why. But if you have a question for me, I will gladly take it on this show. I already did get that one. Um, that kind of fits into something I mentioned earlier, but you'll see when I get there. So you can expect this throughout the month. Wednesdays is the day for this, I believe. Yeah, I mean, it's going up the Wednesday, first day of National Podcast Month. So this is episode one of Why Eric Why. Thank you for listening. You can find me on social media at Eric Crowbar on Twitter and at Aramis Prime on Instagram and Snapchat if that's your thing. Aside from that, just make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. If you have anything else you want to see on the show, like I said, definitely let me know. But also for National Podcast Month, I have plans for the entire month, but I'm willing to add in a few extra things towards the end of the month. So if you give me any good ideas towards the beginning of the month, it is possible you may see them come to fruition by the end of the month. We'll see. Um, and like I said, I do have potential plans for the entire month, but if someone says something better, I'm not opposed to changing up those plans a little bit. Other shows that you can look forward to. Names are not 100% finalized yet. So let me think. This is Wednesday. So Tuesdays, obviously, Steel City Bots. Wednesdays are now Why Eric Why for National Podcast Month. After that, we have Thursday, which is Holocron Herald, so our Star Wars podcast, which I will be sharing more often. Um, Not quite sure about what Friday is. Saturday will be Super Saturdays, which is kind of a breakdown into superheroes, super villains, so super characters, and what makes them special slash super. And it's not going to be your. Some of them will be characters you know. Some of them might be characters you don't know. It kind of depends on how involved you are in certain how deep into the lore you are for some things. Like mainly DC and Marvel are the ones I'm thinking of. We may expand to a couple other things, but there's several superhero, supervillain characters I want to explore and kind of break down why are they even special? Why do I? It has to do with why I like them, but also why are they? What's their purpose in terms of existing? Like what makes them super? What's super about them? Also, Sundays will be Journey to Toy Design. Uh, this is kind of a how-to slash how I did. Because if you aren't aware, I already said that. I'm going into toy design. Whether or not I go into Transformers first, we'll see. But I am going into toy design. That is what I'm going to school to do, and that's what I'm currently at school for. So I will be doing a series for those who are curious. Not necessarily if you are young and you want to, and you are considering that for school. I certainly recommend you look at it, but and tune in. But if you're just curious on like what the heck, how would you even become a toy designer? That's what the series is going to be about. Also, kind of it's a little bit into why, but it's going to be describing my personal experiences in terms of what I talked to about John Ward and stuff, who is the toy designer for Transformers, but that kind of thing. And yeah, so it should be really interesting whether or not you actually are considering that as an option. I know a lot of people that listen are adults, so you may not be going into toy design since you already are maybe in a career if you're listening to this. A lot of you are. I'm aware that I have most people that listen to my stuff are older than me, but I know that there are a lot of young people that are starting to tune in too. So if you are interested in it, which I certainly recommend because it is a wacky field to say the least. To tune in for that one. I think that'll be the most interesting one. Mondays will be movie Mondays? Man, I thought I had a better name for that. That is not a finalized name. That'll be me breaking down best and worst movies, in my opinion. My favorite and my least favorite, talking about them, the movies themselves, and also why the heck they're on the list of. So this is going to be like kind of like special movies, either really good or really bad. They're really something that stands out about them. Don't worry, Transformers is not the only thing on that, but Transformers will be certainly discussed for at least one episode, possibly more, but probably just one. Um, for my Friday and National Podcast this month, thinking about doing a podcast about. You know what? That'll be a surprise. You'll have to find out on Fridays. I have an idea though, but we'll see. So that's basically a little rundown on the plan for National Podcast Month, and that was the first episode of Why Eric Why. So I hope you enjoyed. I think I already said check me out on social media and stuff. So that's about it. Thanks for watching. Bye.